Today, we're going to be demoing the nonprofit cloud outcome management. But before we dive in, I want to share some of the challenges that I have seen that several nonprofit organizations are facing based on my 10 years of experience working in the Salesforce ecosystem and also working in the nonprofit space before we dive into the demo of the outcome management tool. So I'm going to summarize it in two or three main challenges that we have seen in the industry, and then also to set the stage about why Salesforce came up with this wonderful tool and solution on outcome management. So first of all, one of the key challenges that we've seen is that many organizations, they are struggling on how to show the real world impact of their activities. So demonstrating impact, it's really hard for them. The second one is turning that strategy. Many organizations already have an impact strategy, but actually putting it into action, it is very difficult. So making it actionable, measurable, it has many of these nonprofit organizations struggle with that process. The other common thing that we see is lack of experience. Many organizations lack formal experience in impact management, so getting started feels very complex and overwhelming. And then lastly, measuring outcomes. Even those organizations that are a little bit more sophisticated, that already have an impact strategy, they find it very challenging to measure those outcomes meaningfully. So what that really means is that often these strategies, they get stuck in Excel sheets or PDFs. So it makes it like really hard for them to implement those strategies and take very actionable steps. So given all those challenges, Salesforce came up with the outcome management solution. And what this outcome management solution really fills the gap, but making it easier to define for organizations to define the strategy, collect their data, track progress in one place, and very easily evaluate the effectiveness of their programs. So you can think about it from it's a very one integrated solution all the way from program planning to outcome reporting. And then many of the benefits are, like I mentioned before, it allows you to track outcomes and programs all in one place. So what that means is that you're going to be able to monitor your programs and your outcomes in a very efficiently manner. You can more easily act on your impact strategy because it gives you the ability to set and track time-bound targets for your outcomes. And it also, by leveraging the very powerful Salesforce reporting tools, you're going to be able to more easily capture and share those timely results and the impact that you're having in the communities with your funders, with your external stakeholders. So then you can drive change, and then you can also increase your fundraising. All in all, it provides a very sophisticated one integrated solution from program planning to outcome reporting. So this demo, we're going to be doing it from the perspective of James. James is an impact director at a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to expanding educational opportunities in developing regions. So what we're going to show you is how Salesforce outcome management transform complex strategies into clear, actionable insights. So for this use case, James runs 3 key programs. One is a Build School program, another one is the Adult Literacy program, and then the Enroll program. And then for him to be able to measure the impact and the success of these several indicators like the numbers of schools built, the women volunteers recruited, and the students enroll into these schools that they're building. So with Salesforce Outcome Management, James is now going to have the ability to move beyond simply counting to really understanding the impact of their initiatives and their activities, which as a result, it's going to help them achieve the outcomes of their organization, which is to increase access to education worldwide and also reduce illiteracy worldwide as well. So what you'll see in this demo is how Salesforce can help turn impact management from a very complex and challenging process into a more digestible, dynamic, and a strategic tool that is going to allow James to tell a more compelling story of change powered by real-time and meaningful data. So without further ado, let's just dive into the demo. When you open your Salesforce environment, you'll land on the homepage of the outcome management app. From here, you can get a general view of all your outcome management strategy, all the way from all the impact strategies that you're tracking, your recently viewed outcomes, all the different indicators that you're tracking as well, and the status of them. But to start, James will come in the morning. Let's assume that he wants to take a look at one of the outcomes that he has originally set and wants to see how things are performing, right? So this is the outcome to improve access to education in developing countries. He has his intended direction for this is to increase this around the world, and this is going to be a long-term cycle. In addition to that, you can also track the source names. This is the source that initially defined the outcome. It could come from the US Department of Education. It could come from the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So it's really flexible on how you can then set your outcomes. Once you have already set your outcomes, then the next step is to connect these outcomes to the different activities that will drive that outcome forward. So in this particular case, we have already linked the outcome with the Build School program, with the adult literacy program, and then with the enroll program. So this is, and as you can see, you can definitely associate multiple activities to your outcome, so then you can drive that outcome forward. So once you have set that up, the tool also gives you the ability for you to measure these outcomes, right? You need to find a way of how to measure it. So, and you do that by setting indicator assignments. You can also assign multiple indicators. In this particular case, we're measuring the number of schools that have been built, the number of women volunteers that are helping us build those schools, and the number of students that have enrolled into the schools. If we drill down a little bit deeper into one of these indicators, you'll see that you can also set the intended direction. You can set the status if it's active or not. And then another powerful feature of outcome management is that you can also track these different indicators at different performance periods. So in this particular case, we're tracking the number of schools built by year. So you can set targets for each of those specific years. So for 2024, we have set a target of 48 schools that we want to build. For 2023, we have set a target of 30. And then for 2022, we set a target of 20. And then you can even keep drilling down and then see how are you performing against that specific indicator on that specific performance period, and see how many schools you have built so far. When was the last time that you collected those measurements or result measurements date, and the progress that you're making, if it's on target, if you are at risks, so then you can get a full picture of how your whole outcome management strategy is performing. So now, if I navigate back to our outcome record, now that we have already set all the activities that we're gonna perform to be able to drive this outcome forward, we have also set the way that we wanna measure our progress. Now you can also associate this specific outcome with your impact strategy that you're tracking. And then for this particular use case, James wants the ultimate impact strategy that they're tracking is to improve solidarity and equity around the world. So this is how now, if I navigate here to the related tab, you can then see all the different outcomes that they're tracking for them to achieve this impact strategy, right? The other beautiful and great functionality with the outcome management solution, this is probably my favorite one, is this component that allows you to see in a visual representation and at a very high level your whole impact strategy. So in this particular example, you'll see here at the top, you have your impact strategy. You can see all of the different outcomes that are associated with it. But then it also gives you the ability to keep drilling down. So if I click here, it then shows me all the different indicators that we're using to measure this specific outcome. And then you can keep drilling down and see how each of those indicators are performing by performance period. So you'll see here that for the number of schools built, we're tracking different results at different periods. So for 2024, for 2023, for 2022. And if you want to drill down even further, you can even go and see all the different indicator results that you have captured for that specific performance period. So this is a very powerful tool because it gives you at a high level a very quick high level representation on how your impact strategy is performing. Now I'm going to move back to the homepage. So as I mentioned, when James visits the homepage, he's going to be able to see a quick snapshot of what's going on, including the outcomes and the interest strategies that he has recently viewed, and any off-track targets. He can even manage assessments and questionnaires to record the indicators results based on the answers of these evaluations. And once he has collected all of these results over time, he can then leverage the power of Salesforce reporting to determine if the organization is achieving their ambitious plans for trying to break the cycle of poverty through education, and then also so they can then go ahead and report to their external funders and stakeholders. So let me show you what of that reporting capabilities could look like. So over here, we have created an outcome management dashboard. You can see here at a high level how your solidarity plus equity impact strategy is performing. So for example, for the improve access to education in developing countries, we set a target of that we wanted to achieve 398 activities. Right now we have completed 320. It also gives you the ability to report at the indicator level, right? So we can now track here the number of students that are enrolled, the number of schools that we have built. But not only that, then you can also see it by performance period. So you can see here in 2022 how many students enrolled. We had a target of 50. We were able to enroll 55. For 2023, we had a target of 60, and we surpassed that target with 70 students enrolled. And then for this year, we have a target of 100, and we have enrolled 30. And then you can see that as well for the number of schools built indicators. And then you can start also adding additional themes or way of measuring your indicators. So now you can also slice this by region. So not only by year, but also by the region. You can track the number of schools that you have built in that specific region. So for example, in 2022, we were only building schools in Guatemala. In 2023, it was only in Malawi. And then in 2024, we really expanded our efforts into different regions. So you can start seeing all the trend of all these powerful reports and dashboards that then you can easily export or share with your funders and with your external stakeholders. So in conclusion, as you can see, the outcome management tool is a very powerful solution for nonprofit organizations to be able to fully manage their impact strategy and their outcome management programs. It's going to help them solve for many of the challenges that nonprofit organizations are having difficulty dealing with, such as tracking outcomes and programs in one place. So what that means for them is that they're going to be able to monitor those programs and those outcomes more efficiently without having to rely on PDFs or Excel spreadsheets. They're also going to be able to set and track time-bound targets for their outcomes, something that is extremely difficult to do in Excel spreadsheets. And that's also going to give them the ability to act on their impact strategy in a more efficient manner. It also comes with really sophisticated reporting capabilities, which is going to allow these nonprofit organizations to not only capture, but also share their impact in a more sophisticated and timely manner and show greater transparency in their work and be able to raise more funds by showcasing their impact with their external stakeholders and their funders. So all in all, it's a great solution. And here at Plative, we have done several of these implementations. And if your organization is currently facing some of these challenges that we share at the beginning of the recording, feel free to reach out. We have a team of experts. They have been working in the nonprofit industry for over 10 years. and are more than capable to help you with these solutions.